Can I help you, ma'am? All you do is scream at me. All you do is scream at me. I am trying to debunk ghost videos here, and you are just being a total bag. It's not really too much to go on. The first piece of evidence we see about here is orbs. Orbs are just dust particles, maybe a couple of bugs flying by, most likely dust. Second piece of evidence here is the door opening. Now it's pretty easy for somebody to be around the corner, hiding behind the door, open the door, push it open. It's pretty easy. And then the last piece of evidence here is this smoke that passes by. Now, if we sort of look at the smoke a little bit closer up, it kind of appears to be a different quality than the video is. So I'm going to say that this is probably just overlaid on top of the video, burned in, and then just sort of the opacity is lowered to a point where it just appears to be, you know, part of the video, but it's pretty dubious in my opinion.
The comment section is insane and made this video so much more freaky. Right when the first orb comes, whether it's dust or not, it doesn't matter. There is a groan. My brother is sleeping. This is very late at night, so enjoy and listen for the groan.
Now, I've reduced some of the background noise in the clip, and I've enhanced the audio just slightly to make it easier to hear. Otherwise, the audio is untouched. So, listen closely.
Okay, that's a very stereotypical disembodied voice moan. Not a grunt, a moan. Now, obviously, this has been added in post, and I'll give you a good example of why I think this is the case. When you're watching the original video, like here, notice the background audio. There's like sort of a staticky low hum through the entire video. Now, it's very clear to me that they've added this in post, because if you listen to your security cameras, you don't really hear that unless there's like air being blown on the camera, like a fan or something. They've added this in post to mask the cuts in and out of the audio to make it seem like it blends a bit more with the audio level. It's total bullshit. It's very obvious to me. I've employed these tactics in the past to try to, like, you know, fix up certain audio in the backgrounds of some of my videos, just because you do a transition cut. The difference between what I'm saying right now and the next thing, there will be like a pop or a cup. And the easiest way to get rid of that is to add some sort of slow background hum or static that kind of masks that audio transition. It's relatively obvious that this is some like Spirit Halloween level disembodied moan. Get out of here. What else do you have?
Felix. Felix.
And next you'll say, notice just before the door closes, a shadow appears.
Notice that just before the door slams, a shadow seems to suddenly appear in the crack of the door. Now, obviously, if the video was being faked, this could be a person, but
it is.
Weirdly, the shadow doesn't seem to have legs.
It ain't got no legs.
So you think the fact that you can't see his legs is evidence that it's a ghost? It's more than likely that the person's just standing in a way that the top half of their body, the shoulder of their body, you know, as they turn to push the door, you can see the top half of their body, but the rest of their body is probably leaning more towards the door, so the shadow isn't visible through the crack. That doesn't mean that it's a ghost. It just means that the person behind the door couldn't mask their presence enough, closing that door, to, you know, not be perceived at all.
Or any bottom half at all. So it's months later, and Kelly says that her brother was at home just working at his computer. And then this happens.
So your evidence here is that this disembodied shadow just sort of slowly envelops the room until it's completely dark. This to me seems like somebody who's blocking the light of the window, probably with a curtain, and then it slowly becomes light again. It could even be that that section is masked and then it's darkened. Then this door closes on its own, but that could literally just be somebody behind the door, closing the door. Again, we never see inside the room or, you know, perceptive around the room. Even though he's like fully well experienced as paranormal evidence for quite some time, he should be more prepared to put, you know, the video where it needs to be for evidence. You know, he's not picking up a camera or recording anything. There's no adding, you know, footage to show that there's nobody behind the door. We're just left to believe from this one security footage that there's no ghost. That there is a ghost.
Notice that a strange dark shadow seems to completely block out the light as it passes through the hallway, before another door nearby just slams shut violently. Now, it should definitely be noted that Kelly's brother Rick doesn't want any sort of fame or notoriety for his videos. In fact, he doesn't even have a TikTok account of his own.
Without a shadow of a doubt, not having a TikTok is not proof that your ghost is real. It just proves that you are not so good at social media.
As for Kelly, his sister who posted the videos,
she's been cashing in this whole time and probably pranking the shit out of her brother to get that fame and TikTok money.
She also has made it quite clear that she has no interest in becoming a, quote, ghost channel.
And next you'll say, I did not post those videos of the ghosts to be famous.
I am not the forefront leader in all things ghost videos. My brother has a few scary videos I thought I'd post. I am not going to be the person you go to for ghost content.
Me, on the other hand, you are totally welcome to come back to as often as you want. In fact, why don't you hit that subscribe button down there? Maybe ring that notification bell so that you never miss one of Nick's uploads, because he uploads every single friggin' day.
I am totally fine with being your source, by the way. Anyway, so what do you think about the strange paranormal activity in Rick's home? Let me know down in the comments.
Electric dynamite. We're on the same wavelength here, Nuke. Now, let's just put a little bit of information down for you. Now, when somebody says that they're not interested in being famous or anything like that, the sheer act of continuing to publish videos on the internet is the sole intention to share your story or to gain some kind of notoriety for it. It is pretty dubious, and a lot of the time you're gonna be like, oh, she's obviously legit because this isn't really her bread and butter. She's a sewing channel. She has a woodworking channel. Now, let me be frank here. Most people will try to gather interest to their videos. We saw a clip of her channel. Like, she has quite a lot of videos on her TikTok, so she's obviously interested in gaining some views or gaining some kind of following. Now, there is a monetary value to this in America and I don't know where else, but there is a monetary value that you can get from TikTok for the amount of views that you get. So there is always an underlying publicity begets income sort of aspect whenever you see these guys posting these videos. Now, you might think that because her videos don't always or haven't to this point been about paranormal stuff, what it does end up doing, it draws a whole new crowd into your videos. Now, it's one of those things where you say, I came for his awesome beard, but I stayed for the ghost content. Or, I mean, that's what we do. We do ghost content. But you came for my handsome and roguish good looks, but you ended up staying for my dog training videos. Never mind the fact that I have a Bigfoot in my freezer, or that my dad killed one and I have this hand and it's magnetic. The bottom line is that most people will tap into different genres to try to get more views. Now, when you get somebody who comes to watch your ghost video and they kind of find your other videos interesting, you are now gaining positive, views. You're getting positive subscribers. And a lot of the times you'll only permanently grab the attention of maybe 40% of the people who click on that video to see the original content. I might even go back to this woman's channel to see what kind of other things she has. Now, I'm not too terribly interested in the rest of the stuff that she posts, but I might be part of that 40% that goes, hey, the rest of this content's pretty interesting. And that's why we like to put in things like, oh, here's a ghost hunt, you know, because we're not always going to attract the ghost hunt debunkers, the ghost debunkers. We want to attract the people who are interested in ghosts and then slowly chip away at their resolve until we destroy everything that they hold dear and eventually become debunkers themselves. Now, the fact of the matter is that when you're looking at this kind of thing objectively, yeah, you might consider the fact that she's only ever posted this particular thing to be indicative of, you know, honesty or truth in the fact that she's suddenly has some kind of paranormal evidence to show us. But it is, without a shadow of a doubt, 99% of the time driven by Hollywood fame, the notoriety that it comes with, and the potential monetary income that you would get if you continue to gather these people on your channel to watch your videos. So what I'm saying is that it's just because your channel up until this point has been about shoes, or what was that other guy? There was the guy who always posts shoe videos and then all of a sudden had a supernatural video and he gained like 40,000 subscribers off of it. That guy is raking in that money now on his shoe channel because there's so many sneakerheads out there who just want to see that kind of content. They were brought in by this paranormal, dipping into that other pool of interest or of people, and those people stuck around. 40% of those people, 40,000 of those people stuck around to watch the rest of his videos. That is what this person is doing. They're just trying to grab the attention of another audience and then lock them into the content that they publish every day.
A quick look around. Nuke's Top 5 viewer Rianne Maldonado recently sent me a very strange video that is like something right out of a horror movie. Now, Rianne works as a psychic medium.
Wow, within a couple of words, we've already reduced the authenticity of her videos because she's already predisposed to haunting stuff, so she wants to see that, so everything's going to be supernatural, first off. Second off, did that say that she runs a haunted house? Of course she's going to want people to come to her business. Duh! What if it's definitely, probably, most likely haunted? Ooh, you should come in because look at this ghost video we found in a haunted house.
So she is no stranger to the paranormal or the supernatural. But one day, while her family is relaxing at home and watching TV, something happens that even freaks her out. Rianne says that her two youngest daughters have taken an interest in hairstyling, so they will often have their styling mannequins downstairs. And this is when things take a terrifying turn.
How it all became everything makes sense. And you're going up what they call the bridge here. You do this out, and this is good. And the next one, well, it's not quite as good. It didn't quite make sense to you, but you know, you've already paid for the next one, so you do that one.
The bridge, it's a metaphor.
Can I ask what prompted her to actually like review the footage? Because from one standpoint, she's got a security camera showing her living room for some reason, because apparently dubious things happened enough in her living room that she needs to record that area instead of like an entryway or any kind of, you know, place like a burglar might come in or a violent act might happen. Okay, so she's recording her family watching TV, and for some reason she decided that she wanted to go back and look at that footage. And she saw this head move. Now, is the reason you looked at that video because somebody noticed that the head turned? Or was the fact that you knew that head was going to turn and you didn't tell your family it was going to happen? These heads are usually on some kind of swivel because when you look at these, when you're doing hairdressing, you want to be able to rotate the head or walk around the head. And so this head's probably sitting on a stand or has some kind of lazy Susan like sort of built into it so that it can rotate. So it wouldn't be too difficult to attach a string or something like the string she's winding her hand. Not what she used, obviously, but a string, and to pull that head towards you. All you'd have to do is attach it to one side of the head, wrap it around the neck, and then point it towards somebody. So the dad could be sitting there on the couch with like it in his hand and he's just like pulling it slowly towards himself. And then what'll happen is it'll rotate the head in the direction that you want it to rotate. Now, yeah, it could freak you out, but if you're already predisposed to supernatural stuff, you already believe in this kind of thing, so you shouldn't be surprised when this sort of thing happens, especially if you're contacting the dead and you're a spirit medium. That means you're already drawing the attention of the supernatural, drawing the attention of all the ghosts. So the fact that one has followed you home and is interacting with this hairdresser head, it shouldn't come as a surprise to you. In fact, it's probably a regular occurrence. Now, mind you, if a head rotated to watch TV with me, I would be like, ah, it's a little weird. But the rest of this scene doesn't paint a picture of like reason to review the footage. The fact that she went back and watched the footage to watch that head move, it's like what drew your attention to this, and what made you want to review the footage to try to get, you know, some answers to this. If the fact that she noticed that the head had rotated towards them, sure, but that would mean that you have a very detailed understanding and a constant vigilant detailed understanding of that head's position, or that you recognize the fact that that head was in a different position. For me, I would just walk by and be like, whatever, somebody was touching it or somebody moved it, if I even noticed that it had rotated in to begin with. I don't know. It just seems kind of suspicious, dubious.
Spirituality, your relationship to others. Person is supposed to become more able as they go up the bridge. And then there are operating cases and faithfulness as spiritual growth. That's the soul of the person.
No one in the room even notices as the creepy head of the styling mannequin seems to just slowly turn to look at the family. But it doesn't stop there. The head not only turns, but seems to slowly glance back and forth to take a good look around. Finally, the mannequin head makes such a rapid movement that even the entire family notices. And understandably, they just kind of freak right out.
Here's clip 2. My little girl jumped off the couch, ran over to me. I'm frantically telling my husband, oh my God, she just looked at me. My daughter's covering her mouth. I'm like, oh my God. He's looking behind. There's nothing there. I'm covering my face like, oh my God, I cannot believe this happened. And now I'm gesturing at the living room camera saying, get your phone. You've got to look at this. You've got to look at that footage.
Okay, so that answers that question. Now let's propose a new question. What if the hair on the head is long and is sitting on the table in a particular way where it could slide off and pull the head to one direction, and then maybe you have a cat that's playing with the hair that just suddenly appeared and is hanging down, or maybe the cat pulled the hair down originally because it wanted to play with it. So there's a couple of options there. Now, I recognize the fact that they seem to find this scary, but the only person who's reacting and is reacting in a positive or like a very emotional way is the mother herself. The rest of them seem to like sort of like laughing it off and then just sitting down. If a strange situation like that happened and you experienced it, would you laugh it off, sit down and go back to watching TV? I don't really think so. Now, let's just point out again for the fact that she is a spirit medium, so she's not outside of the realm of believing in ghosts and all that stuff. And let's also point out the fact that she also seems to be interacting with a haunted house of some kind. If that original picture, her whatever Instagram post or whatever, is something to go off of here, it might also suggest that she is no stranger to gimmicks in a haunted house, like rotating heads or whatever, remote controlled rotating heads, or, you know, motor functions on things like that, you know, like the ones that sort of follow you around the room just to sort of make you feel a little bit more spooked out. Now, it's well within the realm of possibility that she's staged this and she's using some sort of instrument to fake the fact that this head is moving on her own. She didn't tell her family and is sort of trying to elicit a sort of what you would consider a natural reaction to this. And the family's probably pretty used to these kind of things because they don't seem to react in any way that sort of tells me that they're genuinely scared, you know?
Rianne Maldonado tells me that they checked behind the couch and the counter, but they found nothing to explain the strange movements of the mannequin head. So just what is happening here?
It doesn't seem like it's very much. I would imagine that the head is weighted near the bottom, maybe some sand or something like that, because if you're working on a wig that's predominantly long, it would likely topple over under normal circumstances. So this head is probably attached to something or is weighted down to a point where that wig can actually like settle in its position or its dropping position without knocking the head over. So given that context, the hair is probably just placed poorly on the table, slid off, and is probably swinging back and forth like a pendulum, rotating the head and jerking the head back and forth, and they're just perceiving that as some kind of like supernatural experience or something like that. I'm still not going to rule out the fact that there's an animal on the other side of the table, like a cat or something like that, playing with the hair after it fell down, because that's what cats do. That's what this cat would do. So, peace. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. That's about 20 minutes. So I'm going to cut myself off there. We watched 2 videos. Didn't really see too many interesting things. It was easily explained. And that's probably all you came here for, if you're even here. Bumblebee Tuna is out. We're going to change something else. We're going to say tiny Home Depot buckets. Bins. I don't know, put that in the comments if you made it this far into the video. Anyway, if you guys like what we do, remember to hit the subscribe button and come back for more. And I'll catch you next Friday. And you can watch next videos every other day of the week. Ain't that right? Heck yeah. Are we turning this into an ASMR video? Here. We're doing ASMR now. The sweet sounds of cat purr. I don't know if you can hear the sweet sounds of ASMR cat purring.